joined the local track team in 5th grade and won my first meet, won the mile and the 800, and then that was kind of it. You know, I really enjoyed winning, and I enjoyed that feeling you get when it's like really, really hard. And I found I was like pretty good at tolerating like a pretty high level of discomfort, even from a young age. So that was kind of what started it off.
Scott as a person he's a good blend, because he's intense, of course, about his athletic endeavors, but he's very fun-loving, carefree dude as well.
I live by a very simple motto: never stand when you can sit, and never sit when you can lay down. In college at Portland, I felt like I was doing everything I could to be very good and be the best runner I could, but honestly, once I turned professional, I realized that like I wasn't even close to working as hard as I could. And there's not really like one or two things that I could say I changed. I think I'm just a lot better at a lot of different things now as compared to a year ago when I was in college. I'm stronger physically, I'm eating better, I'm getting more sleep, I have better range of motion, and just in general, I'm just more dedicated and able to be more focused on running.
He is just ultimately, like I said, very positive, very self-confident, and those traits are awesome to have once the gun goes off. We started that spring segment right at the beginning of February, and so we knew that we wanted to run the first Stanford meet, which is right at the beginning of April, and get the trial standard at least there. Then a month later, we would run the U.S. Half Marathon Championships and kind of use April as a month to really work on strength and do a lot of half marathon specific type of work. And then we'd kind of recover from that race and spend a block getting ready for Boulder, which would start to transition us more into the 10K type work, but still very strength oriented, with Boulder being up at 5,000 feet in terms of the race. And then after Boulder, decompress from that, and then spend the final block, which would be the hardest block, getting a little bit more 10K track specific as we prepared for the trials.
As far as key workouts, had one really hard one up here. It's probably the hardest workout I've ever done, and I did 3 by 2 miles. The first one was 9:44, next one was 9:32, and the last one was 9:22. None of them were really out of this park, stellar, like deserve us chapter of in running world, but we really focused on just making sure we hit every single workout and not going to the well too often.
For sure, I think mentally, is a separator for him. His mental attitude, his ability to dig down very deep. He had a mindset from day one of the segment that I can make this team. And I think it was as simple as that. I don't think he spent a ton of time overanalyzing it. I think, because I don't think you should. I think he just went into the segment saying, I can do this, and I think that's the mental attitude that he has. It's not an overanalyzing kind of thing. It's not an over-visualizing kind of thing. It's just a general, every day I wake up and I believe I can do this kind of thing.
Going into the trials, it's like we knew it was a really emotionally charged event. We knew that it's the best runners in the country. It's an Olympic year. They're all in really good shape. Everyone's gone really hard to try to get ready for it. And we just pulled out all the stops. We did everything we could to be as ready for the trials as we could.
Felt very good about Fauble. I mean, there was just no indication that he would do anything but great. I mean, every workout had gone great, pretty much. Certainly every race had gone really, really well, which is the big key. And I just know he's a gamer, so it was just right up his alley.
To be honest, I was very dialed in to the trials, and I was really dialed into all the races I was running, and there were a lot of sacrifices that I made, and when it came to race week, it's like we had a lot of confidence that I was ready to run with anybody and compete to make the team. Race day was just basically the same as, I've raced a lot in the evening, and basically tried to do the same thing as I've done on all those other races. One of the things that I think really made the day go by fast and kept my mind off the race was my girlfriend came out to hang out together and keep it relaxed. And then all of a sudden it was time to go to the track and time to race. It's a stage that a lot of people don't get to run on, and so I really, for the 5 or 10 minutes before the race where we were just kind of waiting to go off, I just focused on kind of looking at the crowds and checking out the track and just really soaking in the fact that I'd made it. And then I lined up and I looked down the line and I saw Ben True and I saw Chris Derrick and I saw all these guys that I had previously looked at as unbeatable and just kind of different in some way, just inherently faster. It was a weird situation to try to balance this admiration I had for a lot of these athletes that I'd watched run so fast and I'd looked up to when I was coming up, but also focusing on being they're fast, but they're just another dude. They're just guys, and I'm out here to race them and race as hard as I can against them.
The way we were thinking about it was, so cover all those moves, assess the moves, cover the moves, gently move your way up as people begin to die off, and when you get to that last mile, just be ready to do something really special.
We went out more honest than a normal championship race because Ben Bruce went straight to the front. I think we came through the mile in 4:40. Galen gapped it, and then he decided to come back, and then the race really slowed down, and I was okay, just focus on staying up near the front. Right around 5K, I think we came through in about 14:20. Galen made another big move. A couple guys went by me to get on the back of that train, and I followed him. And I think I ran about 200 meters with that group, and I just knew it wasn't going to happen. I was panicking almost. It felt like I was kicking, and I had 3 miles to go.
The crazy thing is, it's 9 times out of 10, if you don't cover that big move when that many other people do, that means that's it. You're not going to finish on the podium or in the top 4 or 5. The top 4 or 5 are going to come from that group. But in retrospect, he made a great decision because in fact it was too much of a move for most people.
So I backed off a little bit. Chris Derrick came by me and I hopped on his shoulder, and we were picking off some really good runners. 4 laps to go is when I looked back at the clock, and I needed a 3:53 mile to go under 28 minutes, and I was well, that's not going to happen. At that point, I was just all right, I'm just going to race Chris.
All you saw him doing out there was, I'm trying to finish as high as I possibly can. I'm covering this move by Rupp as best I can. And then when he found himself in 9th or 10th with Derrick, he kept grinding, trying to get into 8th, trying to get into 7th. And then as people dropped off and he passed them or they dropped out, all of a sudden he was in 5th. But I think having those kind of splits thrown in on such a hot day just made it really tough physically, and then mentally it's tough when you expect to be in the top 3 and then you start to fall off. It's very tough mentally.
800 meters to go, I went past him. I was all right, I'm just gonna put him away, and I felt awful. I went past him and I didn't do any damage, and I think I probably slowed down actually. So I just sat back, let him go by me again, and waited until the last 200 meters to try to outkick him. So yeah, you could tell just how much everyone was suffering out there, and it was just a really hard race. I had just come all this way and finished 4th in the biggest race of my life and one of the most competitive 10Ks in the country every year, if not the most competitive domestic 10K. And then on the other hand, it was like I was 4th. 4th doesn't make it to the Olympics. 4th isn't what I had dreamed about. All the afternoon runs when my legs felt terrible and I was running through these trails and imagining the race, I never imagined I would come 4th. I always imagined coming down the home stretch and making the Olympic team. So I had all the feels, as the youth would say. it's just very mentally exhausting to be so like on it all the time and so disciplined, and that was something that I like really enjoyed for the most part. But there were some nights when it was like, I don't want another salad. It's like, I've eaten so much salad. I just want a freaking burger. And there's no harm in eating a burger as long as it's not like a staple of your diet. I feel like as long as you make all the right decisions, it's okay if you make a wrong decision every now and then and go eat an unhealthy burger. That's fine, as long as the majority of your meals and the majority of your decisions are all right.
All in all, it's just continuing to have solid sessions and solid weeks, week after week after week. It's not so much that we learned a ton. I think we just had a lot of affirmation that what we're doing is right and that we should keep doing it and not screw it up by trying anything crazy.
So as I learn more and I get better and stronger and fitter and more experienced, I think the racing skills will come along.
Describing Bob's in 3 words as a runner, I would say
3 words of my trials experience.
tough, son of a you-know-what.
Disappointing, proud, fun.